If you've spent some time with Strong, you'll know that he can be pretty talkative, loud, malevolent at times, pretty deadly, and weirdly interested in the arts. And this begs the question, who was he before the FEV, right? Before he got turned into a super mutant? There's a lot of little hints from his personality as to who he could have been. Now, unlike other super mutant companions from other Fallout games, this isn't really available to us. There's no real information on it. And as such, I'm very sorry, I don't have any real hard evidence to help us find this out. However, from the little quirks and mannerisms that I have observed, as well as a couple what-ifs, maybes, and might-have-beens, I thought it'd be a fun idea to list a few theories as to who he was before this transformation. So, starting off with probably the most likely idea, Strong was a wastelander who had been captured by the Institute, used as a test subject, and then released into Boston. Now, there's no surprise here, that's how super mutants ended up here in the first place, but who exactly did they abduct? Well, as you may know, super mutants essentially become genderless and, well, asexual when they transform, so a male or a female doesn't really matter, can be turned into one, and when they do, their bodies always assume that, big, bulky, muscular physique. So with that said, Strong could have been a little schoolgirl, busy at his friend's house up in Salem, coloring in pictures of the big green men that they've only heard about in fairy tales. For this, let's just name her Stacy, right? That's sort of close to Strong right now. But Stacy's mom, who most certainly has it going on, comes to pick up her daughter, and the friend's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Figwallop, wave goodbye. Well, this is my story, I can name them what I like. But Stacy and her mom are walking back home. Stacy looks up at the bright blue sky and says, "Mom, why do I have such a miserable f***ing life?" And that's when she realizes that her mom is actually a big black man named X688, and he knocks her over the head, teleports to the Institute, and she becomes a test subject. Damn, doomed to be turned into one of those big green men just like in her drawing. And this is actually possible, I'm not kidding. Her voice wouldn't necessarily sound like a young girl's. There's a super mutant back in New Vegas named Tabitha who sounded as manly as any other super mutant. However, there's also one in New Vegas named Lily, who used to be an elderly woman, and her voice does actually have that slight, grandmother influence. So it seems that rather than gender, it's age that has the biggest effect on their voice. So, okay, maybe Strong wasn't a little schoolgirl, but this at least tells us that he was not an elderly person. Now, moving on to his personality, this may help us narrow the results even further. Of course, you could say that he had any kind of profession, right? I mean, he could have been a lawyer, a weightlifter, a baker, a Quaker, a shaker and a taker of women's hearts, stocking cans in the supermarts. But I think a more appropriate field of work would be one of two things. One, he was a milkman. That would explain his obsession with milk. When Rex Goodman brings up the milk of human kindness, he's like, yes, that is what I like. I know what that is, and that is what I like. I need to go find that, because then me and my buddies, we can have ultimate power. Because as a milkman, he knew the benefits of this drink, right? It's got calcium, and protein, and vitamin D, and it makes your bones strong. Maybe that's why he calls himself that. Strong, my bones make strong. So if you like the idea of him being the friendly milkman, going door to door delivering big crates of the stuff, petting the Harrisons, a very adorable cat, and waving hello to Mr. and Mrs. Figwallop, actually they prefer being called by their full names, so it's actually Cornebulus Figwallop and his wife Sue Walloper Figwallop, then yes, I think him being a milkman is a pretty good fit. However, I have one that's even better than that. Strong used to be a male actor in his early 30s. Are you ready for this? Institute takes him. He disappears. Okay? Other actors don't really care because now they can take his place as King Henry and Henry V, premiering at the Charles View Amphitheater. All of that FEV nonsense happens. He becomes a big green man. He loses his big green man. He gets released, ends up listening to Rex Goodman reciting Shakespeare, and it connects with him. He knows it. That's why he's the only super mutant who likes listening to it. Maybe he's even done Macbeth in the past. That line, "Yet do I fear thy nature, it is too full of the milk of human kindness," that really strikes deep within his memory. In addition to this, when he's in one of your settlements, he is very talkative and very loud. This needs no explaining, but actors are very talkative and very loud. Then, as I said before, he can be malevolent at times, saying that super mutants will eventually wipe out humanity, and saying that he wants to eat people. Well, maybe he was in Sweeney Todd the musical, right? This could be a literal expression of all the sinister characters that he's played on stage. To talk about getting into character. Although, that's more poetic, really. He probably just hates people, because actors will kill anybody to get a role. But the reason I specifically said that he was a male in his early 30s is because there's a terminal in the Institute's FEV lab that details one of its test subjects as being a male in his early 30s that has a mental acuity that is, quote, higher than average. And instead of terminating this one, they tagged and then discarded him to the outside. Now, of course, this could be any of them, sure, but if you do highlight this description, Strong certainly stands out from most mutants in Boston. I mean, you could argue that Erickson from Far Harbor is actually smarter, but let's just say it is Strong, then boom, we know at least that he was a male in his early 30s. Wow, aren't you happy you stayed this far into the video? And then from there you can fill in whatever profession you like. A little schoolgirl, a milkman, an actor, whatever suits you best. Now, we could go on to theorize that he used to be an institute scientist, like Virgil. He didn't really like what was happening and then got trapped by them. We could say he was a synth, if that's even possible, sent to see how he reacts with other super mutants. We could even say that he traveled all the way from the capital wasteland to gain more territory. Now, I think all of these are pretty good theories. I mean, a little far-fetched for me. I try to stay away from that kind of thing. But personally, I'd like to believe that he was a male actor in his early 30s who is now living out the motivations of the characters that he's played on stage. So, given his personality and how he reacts to everything, I think that's the thing that makes me most comfortable as to who he could have been before being transformed. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and down below please tell me, who do you think Strong was before the FEV? Alright, thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry I had to put you through that. I tested the script out to Strong before doing this, and he said it was really cringy, so